In this video, I'm going to address our market-leading ground lease advisory practice. This is one of our real unique differentiators as we really have no competition in this space. And I'm going to talk about why it's such a powerful tool to use, especially for people coming into the business or those that don't have a lot of pre-existing relationships. If somebody wanted to sell a piece of dirt and we showed up to bid for it, we would have a very hard time proving out our expertise, especially against those groups that have so much more experience or dominance in a particular marketplace. We don't sell land. In fact, outside of the core competencies of raising capital, we don't really compete very well for investment sales. It's just not something that we do. However, when somebody owns an unimproved piece of dirt or an underimproved property, they have a couple of options for how to monetize their position. They could sell, which we're not competitive in. Plus they have 1030, they're going to have to deal with tax issues or 1031 issues. They can joint venture it, in which case they're putting their property at risk, or they can just do nothing with it. The solution that we bring is the ground lease structure, in which case we can convert a dead asset into a fixed income one. And that creates tremendous value for the landowner. We have executed transactions with some pretty large institutional counterparties, such as Greystar, Goldman Sachs, Dinnerstein Companies, Harrison Street. We've closed in markets like Chapel Hill, Blacksburg, Nashville, closing right now in Greenwich, Connecticut, and Bonita Springs, Miami, among other places. So what is this particular thing? Well, it's awesome because when we are presented with an opportunity to pitch, we're really not pitching against anybody else. Like, no one shows up and says, let me do a ground lease. They generally default to the better known execution options. And so we're pretty much pitching against the status quo. And we have multiple case studies to show why this is such an accretive opportunity or a accretive transaction for the owner of land to enter into. So that's our first bite at the apple. Number two, when we go out and we market a transaction, let's say for a traditional mortgage brokerage assignment, the constituency that we're marketing to is not really a client, right? If I have a first mortgage transaction, I show it to insurance companies, banks, CMBS groups. Those groups are not my clients. I don't get much out of it. In fact, I'm giving them something, meaning I'm giving them a product they can finance. On the ground lease side, it's a little bit different. It puts us in front of the people that we want to be in front of in the first place, that is other developers. Except in this situation, rather than showing them and say, hey, can you please give me something? Can you give me a deal? Here, I'm showing up and saying, here, I have something for you that you want, an opportunity to build, an opportunity to develop. It puts us in a very different position to establish a new relationship by coming with something of value. So that's a great benefit of this execution. Now, the ultimate winner has to capitalize their transaction on a ground lease. And 9 out of 10 times, we are going to be the best position to provide that service. Why? Because we are in that space as a principal, as an advisor, and as an investment banker. And we've done more leasehold transactions than most. So we are more often than not going to win the first mortgage or the equity or both transactions on a ground lease. So that's 2 bites at the apple for a fee. Third, the ultimate owner of the leased fee, meaning the lessor, the person that initially hired us, might want to do something with their position. They may want to sell it, which case we would buy it through our principal side, or they may want to finance it. And this is something that we have tremendous experience in. So we get 3 bites at the apple with no competition. This is, I think, our secret weapon, and it's something that we absolutely want to grow. And there's just so much room as there's no one else really doing it at any scale relative to what we've done so far.